for the treatment of adult ULS following a stroke or traumatic brain injury. The study was also designed to identify a dose to help us advance into a phase 3 program. There were 3 doses of the drug evaluated: 250, 375, and 500 units compared with placebo. The trial was originally designed to include 128 subjects, but given COVID-19 concerns, we made the decision in June of 2020 to curtail the enrollment size to 83 subjects. Our concerns were related to challenges with subject enrollment, the scheduling of in-person study visits, and the lack of a validated assessment for patients that could be used remotely. With the revised sample size of 83 subjects, we determined that the phase 2 study design would still be adequate to meet the goal of identifying an acceptable dose with an efficacy and safety standpoint to advance into a phase 3 program, especially given the known performance profile of other neuromodulators in the treatment of this condition. The study enrolled adult patients between the ages of 18 to 75 with moderate to severe upper limb spasticity at the elbow, wrist, and finger flexors. We conducted the trial at 30 sites in the U.S., and patients were randomized 1-to-1 to 1-to-1 between active and placebo treatment groups. The study was designed to run up to 36 weeks with 2 co-primary outcome measures. First, the mean change from baseline in muscle tone at week 6 that was measured with the modified Ashworth score, or MAS, in the most affected muscle group between the elbow, wrist, or finger flexors, which was designated as the suprahypertonic muscle group, or SMG. And second, the mean score of the Physician Global Impression of Change, or PGIC, at week 6. In addition, the duration of effect was evaluated as a key secondary endpoint. We'll now turn to the Juniper results. On the co-primary endpoints at week 6, the proof of concept was demonstrated with all 3 doses being numerically higher than placebo as measured on the MAS. The 500-unit dose was able to demonstrate a meaningful and statistically significant reduction of muscle tone on the MAS from baseline compared with placebo. Additionally, each of the 3 doses was able to demonstrate a numerical improvement when compared with placebo on the PGIC assessment. However, this difference was not able to reach statistical significance with the reduced enrollment size. That said, we were pleased and encouraged to see the treatment effect with our data align with prior studies that were with type A toxin in adult upper limb spasticity. A key secondary endpoint for daxibotulinumtoxinA for injection was the duration of effect. In published literature that has been reported with other toxins, symptom relief usually peaks at 4 to 6 weeks, with efficacy that will wane in that range, with a duration that's been reported of 12 to 14 weeks. In our Juniper phase 2 study, all 3 doses of Daxi for injection achieved a median duration of at least 24 weeks. That was defined as a time from injection in weeks until a loss of muscle tone improvement as measured by the MAS for the suprahypertonic muscle group and the PGIC with a score of less than or equal to 0 or a request for retreatment by the subject. Finally, in terms of safety, daxibotulinumtoxinA for injection was found to be generally safe and well tolerated across all 3 doses, with no increase in the incidence of adverse events observed in the higher dose treatment groups. In summary, the study successfully was able to deliver the data that was required to properly design a phase 3 program. We were able to meet the co-primary efficacy endpoint as measured on the MAS, even though a lower subject enrollment size was had secondary to COVID-19. We also showed the consistent long-duration profile for Daxi of 24 weeks, as seen across our other therapeutic and aesthetic studies. For these reasons, we are confident in the drug's ability to be able to significantly improve patients' quality of life by achieving symptom relief with as few as 2 treatments per year potentially. We plan to share the Juniper Phase 2 data set at an upcoming medical congress. In closing, we could not have achieved these results without the time and commitment of the patients, investigators, CROs, and members of the Revance team to the Juniper program. We thank you all. I'll turn the floor back over to Mark.
Thanks, Roman. To echo Roman's remarks, the Juniper Phase 2 trial was modified and completed under extraordinary circumstances and delivered the results that we needed in order to advance our program. We plan to schedule an end-of-Phase 2 meeting with the FDA prior to finalizing our Phase 3 program. As to the rest of our therapeutics franchise, the next milestone is the completion of the ASPEN-OLS Phase 3 open-label safety study in cervical dystonia, expected in the second half of 2021. We plan to follow this with a regulatory filing with the FDA in 2022 and anticipate approval in 2023. We're very pleased with the positive momentum in our therapeutics franchise, given the growing body of clinical evidence that further validates the differentiated performance profile of daxibotulinumtoxinA for injection. This differentiation will allow us to effectively participate in the global muscle movement disorder market, which includes cervical dystonia and spasticity, representing a $1 billion opportunity today. We continue to believe that the demonstrated long duration, favorable safety profile, and high response rates of our next-generation neuromodulator could become the new standard of care for neurological muscle movement disorders. Longer duration of treatment effect also delivers meaningful pharmacoeconomic benefits, including decreased annualized drug costs, decreased healthcare utilization, and a reduction in overall treatment costs. Altogether, daxibotulinumtoxinA for injection has the ability to potentially expand the utilization of neuromodulators for patients with these debilitating conditions. Now I'll turn to our performance for the fourth quarter. In our first full commercial quarter, we saw strong uptake of our RHA Collection and substantial growth in processing volume from our HintMD platform. Our initial results were encouraging for 2 reasons. First, it showed that our innovative and differentiated aesthetics portfolio is resonating with consumers and healthcare providers. And second, it reflects that our thoughtful and disciplined commercial strategy was successful in producing results. During the fourth quarter, we also announced positive results from our Phase 2 open-label upper facial line study, which further reinforced the favorable duration profile of daxibotulinumtoxinA for injection. The study showed efficacy of none or mild wrinkle severity in at least 92% of subjects at week 4 for the combined treatment of glabellar lines, forehead lines, and crow's feet lines. Further, the median time to return to baseline wrinkle severity was at least 33 weeks or 7.6 months. We had hoped that in the fourth quarter we would secure FDA's approval of our innovative, long-lasting neuromodulator, daxibotulinumtoxinA for injection, in the treatment of glabellar lines. However, as we announced in November, the BLA for glabellar lines remains in review due to the FDA's inability to conduct a mandatory inspection of our manufacturing facility as a result of COVID-19 travel restrictions. You will recall we announced that the FDA did not indicate any further outstanding review issues beyond the pending on-site inspection. That said, we remain confident in the quality of our BLA submission and are hopeful for an approval in 2021. In the meantime, we continue to build traction in our aesthetics platform with the RHA Collection and HintMD platform, which will provide a strong foundation for the commercial launch of daxibotulinumtoxinA for injection once approved. Now let me turn the call over to Dustin to talk about the performance of our aesthetics business in the fourth quarter.
Thank you, Mark. We are extremely pleased to see the early results of our aesthetics commercial launch with the RHA Collection and the HintMD FinTech platform. The resilience of the aesthetics market and a V-shaped recovery are encouraging as we look to gain market share. Practices have adapted to the new normal and are adjusting their operations within the COVID environment